I think I know most of the individuals here today. My name is Vern Melvin, Circuit Director for the Garden Ladder Program for Circuit 19. And I also want to welcome you this morning. This for us is a pretty unique opportunity from the perspective of there are 4 of these regional conferences around the state. And the 4th one is being held here in Circuit 19 in St. Lucie County, as opposed to maybe West Palm or Orlando or other areas where some of you who might have been interested in attending would have to commute. So I really want to thank the state office for providing this opportunity. Speaking of opportunities, we're going to have an opportunity to hear from some experts this morning. And I'm speaking of individuals who have been involved in the system, quote unquote, as a result of no choice of their own, as we know. And I think almost everybody here this morning is either a volunteer or a Guardian Ad Litem staff member. So you're familiar, I think, to a great degree with what the experiences of a lot of our youth are in the system, in the court system. And so I'd like to start out by introducing the youth panel members that we have here this morning. And let me start by, to my immediate left, Gage Platt from Okeechobee. Miracle Thomas from St. Lucie County. And I always call her Edna, but I found out she really prefers Marie. So Marie Howard from Okeechobee. The format for this will be the first half an hour or so will be pretty much hearing from the youth, their experiences, what seems to have worked well, what it is that maybe we could do better. And then the second half will be a question and answer from the audience. And we only have about 45 or 50 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I view my job as much as anything besides facilitating is to sort of stay out of the way. Because we really do want to hear from them. So how about if we start with, let's see. Well, first of all, my first question to you will be, are you all as nervous as I am? Okay, all right. So how about we start with Marie Howard from Okeechobee. Yes, and is it working?
I think so.
Okay. If you would share with us, Marie, whatever you would feel comfortable sharing about yourself, your life experiences, how you got to where you are, being a very successful young lady. So I'm going to turn it over to you for a couple minutes.
I'm currently 22 years old. At 18, I aged out of the foster care system. At the time, I was living with my second cousin, and I had bounced through a couple homes before that happened. I first became acquainted with the Guardian Ad Litem program when I was 17 after bouncing through a lot of places before I finally found one that stuck because my mother was unable to care for me and my father was unavailable otherwise. And the Guardian Ad Litem program impacted me so fully that I ended up pursuing becoming one myself.
Marie was certified at our last pre-service training class. So she is the newest member of y'all's group. Miracle.
Hi.
I love that name.
I'm currently 21 and I came into care when I was 15. And my first guardian ad litem was when I was 15, and unfortunately she got sick and she couldn't be my guardian ad litem again. And then I got my second one when I was about 17, getting ready to age out. And she made a pretty big impact on my life. Me and her didn't always get along in the beginning, but as I got older, I understood that she just wanted the best for me. So, and because how much everyone that worked for me or worked with me pushed me, I ended up coming, and now I'm a youth worker for Devereaux CBC. And I'm in school for pharmacy, and that's pretty much it right now.
Yeah. First, before Gage gets started, let me share with you just briefly that I met Gage actually a couple of weeks ago, so it was a drop-by visit at the program that he's currently in, just to say hello and that sort of thing, and that turned into about an hour or so, just conversation, just sitting and listening and becoming more and more inspired by the resilience of this young man, as well as the resilience of the others also. But a very interesting young person.
Okay. I'm Gage Platt. I am currently 17, and I'm still in care. But I came here today because I wanted to share my experiences and let you guys know how I got this far. So, I came into care when I was about 14, and at the time, before that, my childhood was really bad, abusively, mentally and physically, and drugs, and all of that, just being around it. So I was very rebellious towards everybody around me, and when I first got my guardian ad litem, I ran him off, so. I haven't had a GAL before Melvin. So, during those times, before, just growing up, I didn't want to do anything with my life because I was depressed and angry at the world, and, I just wasn't going anywhere, and I realized about a year ago that a lot of people can preach to you, and a lot of people can tell you to do better, but you aren't really going to do anything unless you yourself decide to start getting motivated. And so, when my mom went to prison about 2 years ago, and my dad committed suicide, I was hurt. I was very hurt, but right then I decided I'm not really going to have a father figure or any help anymore growing up, so I decided I needed to get my act together. And so since then, I've been working really hard, and about 2 weeks ago, I got my diploma. And I plan on going to college in January for AC technician and roofing, and getting my life started after that. But that's basically the gist of my story.
Gage.
Before I also wanted to say, when you get your kids, they'll probably be like me in the beginning, and they'll be very rebellious. And I just wanted to say, don't give up on them, because they will change.
Gage, you shared with me whenever we were talking, I was asking you about the relationship with other family members and that sort of thing, and you shared with me that the most important thing to you was
Myself.
to take care of yourself, and that really resonated with me because while, as Gage said, he loves his other family members, he had a lot of work to do himself, and so he felt that that needed to be the focus. And to me, that was a very mature, difficult but mature perspective. for a 17-year-old who's been through, what Gage has been through. So, thank you, Gage. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Miracle, would you like to share more about what brought you into the system, some of your background, that sort of thing?
Well, originally I was actually born into care. When I was born, my mom was in prison, and she was on drugs really bad. So I kind of went between family member to family member, and then it would be family member to care, family member to care. So when I turned 15, I kind of ran away and I went to my brother's house because I was tired of dealing with the abuse from my family, and I felt like that would be like a safe place for me. But because my brother was going through a custody case with his wife and he had an open DCF case because of things that were going on, I ended up in foster care. My first foster home, I stayed there. I only went to 3 foster homes. My first one, she was awesome. All of them are awesome. I don't really talk about it much. But I would have to say, like, my time in care is actually what got me to where I am now, because before I came into care, I didn't see myself going to college. I didn't see myself graduating high school because I was taking care of my nieces and nephews, and school wasn't really a priority when you have 2 kids depending on you. So I would definitely have to say coming into care was an amazing thing for me, because now I'm in college. I'm getting ready to go off to a university, and just being able to see how far I've come and how far everyone pushed me, because like I said, I was so headstrong when I came on because I was so used to taking care of myself and I wasn't used to having people taking care of me. I think most people just didn't understand, and then like my last guardian ad, she was like, yeah, no, I'm not giving up on you, so. And it kind of like pushed me to where I am now, which I'm definitely proud of myself to be where I am now.
Maria, is there anything else you'd like to share? Okay.
My reason into coming into the parish foster care system was similar to Miracle's, where when I was about 1.5, my mom, my biological mother, attempted to murder my biological father. And so she was sent to prison. My biological father had already signed away his rights. So I kind of bounced around through relative care for a while up until I found my mom's second cousin, sister or something, that decided to take me in. And I stayed there up until my mom got out of prison. She took a plea bargain, everything got dropped down to aggravated battery, and she was out 5 years later. And after she got her life somewhat situated, she took me in, and she was really bad on drugs. She was incredibly abusive. Her biggest thing was when she first went to prison, she was pregnant, she got rid of my younger brother. And he got adopted. He's doing wonderfully. I actually still have contact with him now. And so she would always tell me, I wish I got rid of the wrong kid, oh, I should have had an abortion. You shouldn't be here. This is all your fault. And so I held a lot of that in for so long. And I was so used to with the way that my mom did everything, the way that I bounced around after her, the way that I went right back into the foster care system as soon as I got out, people revolving. When you meet someone, especially when you're first taken out of a DCF case, you see the DCF caseworker, then you see the caseworker that you're assigned, and then you've seen all the police, you go through so many people, and you're so used to everybody just leaving. And that was my biggest thing. I was mean. I mean, rude, mean, aggressive to my guardian ad litem. And I wasn't used to people listening to me. I was just so done with it. By the time that I actually found her, when I was 17, I only had a year left. It had already been 17 years. I didn't care. But she listened, and I remember this one time during Christmas, I had told her when she first found me, which was almost a year before that, she was like, what do you like to do? And it was just a normal question, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I like painting, I like drawing, I like writing. Whenever I was in 7th grade, I was published, just random crap that I just told her. And she remembered it, and she brought me this huge sketchbook and a bunch of other stuff. She brought it to my house, and she was like, now, just do that. If that's what makes you happy, just do it. And it was a huge bonding experience because for the first time, she didn't revolve. She didn't leave. She listened, she paid attention. I think that's the biggest thing that stuck with me from the Guardian Ad Litem program.
Let me ask you, any one of you, or all of you, having spent time in the system, quote unquote, we've heard about your experiences. If you were to become a dependency case manager, a DCM, or a guardian volunteer, how would you approach that with the youth that you might be assigned to or working with? Do you think the insights that you've gained from your experiences would make any difference? And if so, what kind of difference do you think it would make? I mean, I think we just heard some from Marie, about the importance of listening and, that sort of thing, but Gage?
Well, I feel like if I was to take that path, I would be able to understand the kid a little bit more because of my past experiences, and also because of my GAL leaving and not giving me a chance. I would not be that type of person. I would stay and I would work with the child until he finally trusted me, or she finally trusted me. And I would just try to make their life as good as possible while they're still in there, because life isn't perfect, but it can be better, and it will get better as you grow.
Excellent. Miracle? Any insights? Particularly now that you're working for the community-based care organization, and I believe you're also a member of Youth Shine. And so you might want to share a little bit about Youth Shine. Everybody here may not be familiar with that youth group.
Well, what Youth Shine is basically a child advocacy group, and we go across Florida and we talk to Senate and we talk to legislators to try to change the situations that we went through in foster care and make them better for the kids that are coming in after us or that are in foster care. Because sometimes it's better to see it from our point of view and from what we went through to understand how to fix it. Because most people see it as they're trying to help, and they don't realize that some of the things might not be helping us, it might be hurting us more than helping. So we're basically there to try to make things better so that it's like a smoother transition into foster care, because it's a very traumatizing thing to just be snatched away from everything that you knew at that point in time, whether you understood that it was bad or not. It's traumatizing, so we're trying to ease it, make it a less scary transition.
Thank you. Maybe at this point it would be a good time to open it up to Q&A before we end up running out of time, because it slips by. Charlie.
I have a question for Miracle. You said that since you're with Youth Shine, you go around and you're talking to the people in a position to make decisions that could benefit youth that have your experience. So what are you telling them about the system that you think they need to fix?
Well, what we do is each year we have our quarterly meeting and we figure out what issues that we're going to talk about this year. Like some of the things that have been changed is like the Normalcy Act, which makes it easier for kids to go and spend the weekend with their friends or go out. It gives them more of a normal feeling, because before you used to have to go through the judge and your caseworker instead of the foster parent, who's the person that you're actually living with. Another thing that we went and we talked about is like the tuition waivers and things like that. That was what we talked about last year at Children's Week, to kind of, because it wasn't that they weren't accepting our tuition waiver, they weren't letting us use the fullness of our potential of our tuition waiver. It's just different things that we talk about, like, how do I explain it? It's different things each time we go, but everyone has to agree on it. So like some things that I might find important, everyone might not find it as important, but we all agree that, okay, the tuition waiver is something serious, because we all want kids in foster care to be successful, because that's one of the main things that most people look at, oh, foster kids are successful, we don't go on to really do anything. So the tuition waiver is something that's very important to us, so we all agree this is something that we need to get taken care of so that we can go on to get doctorates and masters, and we're not limited to just the bachelor's, because some of us do want to go on and further our education. So that was something that everyone agreed on. It just is something that we all have to agree on.
Great, thanks.
Yes.
My question is, once y'all have decided that your gal is not your enemy, how much contact is important to you in your lives? How often to see your gal? How often to speak with him without intruding on your life? How much do you need them around?
As frequently as possible for you, to be honest, because that kid needs nourishment and he or she needs help, and they don't have a lot of people that they can go to help too. So.
I have the exact opposite of his answer. With me, if she came once a month, that's cool. As long as I knew that I could, if I needed to, reach out to her, that was how I adjusted things, because for so long I was so independent, that's all I knew. And so with her being there as often as she could have, I was always kind of like, you can go now. So I think it really depends on your child, each of the children, like what they particularly have gone through, what they need. I mean, at the time, I had been Baker Acted 4 times, I think, and so I had a lot of appointments. I had school. I mean, I was a senior. I had a bunch of things I had to do. I had a friend that I went and saw. And I actually ended up seeing my guardian ad litem once a week, but not with her visits. I started going to church, and she happened to be the same member, so for 10 minutes after church, she'd be like, hey, how are you? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. And she'd be like, okay, I'll see you when I see you. And I'm like, that's cool for me.
I would kind of say it's a mixture between both. Because for me, my guardian ad litem, she came when she felt like she was needed, and that was enough for me. Because like she said, I was used to being independent. So for someone to be there every week, and I'm already seeing caseworkers, therapists, everything, it's just like, okay, can I have a day to myself without having to see someone? But it's just like, once you get to know your kid and you get to understand them more, they'll let you know when they need you to be there. And that was like my biggest thing. Like, I knew if I called my guardian ad litem, she'd be like, well, whatever I have to do, I'm gonna be there for you. And that was good enough for me, just to know that she would be there when I needed her, not be there when I didn't need her. Or like, I knew I could call her and talk to her even if she wasn't there physically. I knew that I could call her and talk to her, and everything would be okay, because it, like you said, it depends on the kid. Yeah, it definitely does.
Would it be okay for your guardian to phone you, or would you prefer to make the contact with your guardian outside of the visits?
I mean, you can definitely call, because sometimes we're so busy, and sometimes, like with me, I didn't like feeling like I was bothering anyone, so I didn't even like calling my caseworker if something was wrong. So sometimes it is good to reach out, because we might be going through something that we're not comfortable with sharing with our caseworker or our anyone, honestly. So sometimes it is okay to reach out and just say, hey, how are you? Even if it's just like a 2-minute phone call, just to know, like, okay, she's checking on me. That's very important, because like you said, most of the caseworkers, not trying to knock anybody, they'll call you, hey, how are you doing? And then you hear from them whenever. And sometimes when you call, you can hardly get through to them. So just to know that your guardian ad litem's there, they're calling you and checking on you and making sure you're okay, definitely call. It's better than just popping up.
Bill?
Yeah, thank you. Miracle, you mentioned about becoming a success. Y'all are a success.
Bob?
Yeah, I mean, we're here because we want to know what to do and how to do it for the kids. But one thing I picked up is there are also things that we to be sure not to do. And what I've learned so far, and I think there's more, is don't judge the kids, don't lecture the kids, and as Gage said, don't give up on the kids. I'd just like to know if you can think of anything else that we should be especially sensitive to not doing.
I would definitely say don't let us know that. Like if you're aggravated with us or anything like that, because we understand that we're being difficult most of the time. But at that point in time, it just feels like the right thing to do because our guards are up. So I would say patience is key with us in our situations because once we do get comfortable with you, you'll probably be like, okay, leave me alone. So, it's just like patience. Don't let us know that you are completely aggravated. And,
Definitely that. But also acceptance. Like I said, I went to church, so I knew my guardian, and I live in Okeechobee. Okeechobee's a little town. You know, everybody knows who everybody is there. And I did things purposely to push her buttons. The first person that I told that I was in a relationship with a female was her because she was Southern Baptist, so I thought it might drive her away. So I was like, hey, guess what? Guess what I did? And she was like, okay, do you want help with that? Like, what? And she stayed, and she talked to me about it, and I was just kind of like, seriously? Come on. And she was accepting, and even when she was like, you know I don't agree with that, and I think that's the reason why you're bringing that up. And I, of course, was like, no, of course not. But she didn't ever say, that's wrong. She never ever say, you're wrong. That's a big thing, is your wording. Always be super mindful of that, because while you're being accepting, while you're like, I don't agree with it, so I think it's wrong, but, do you? That's different from, I don't think you're wrong, even if the act itself is wrong. So being accepting and taking care of your wording is something that I'm hugely stressed on.
I agree with both of them on those. And also, I guess, try to get to know the kid better. Patience is key. And, they've really said everything that I wanted to say.
Yes, Kip, and then
Things like your guardian ad litem, maybe going to your school and having lunch with you, is that something that would be embarrassing, or is it something that you love, or, I know it must feel like perhaps in school particularly, the other kids might judge you or think different of you. Would that be helpful, hurtful? What do you think about things like that?
Well, from my point of view and myself, I wouldn't have minded it at all. But it was mostly because in my rebellious stage, I just didn't want to be in class. So it really just depends on the kid once you get to know them
So
better.
you would have used us to get out of school.
I hate to say it.
I think for me, mine was completely opposite of his. I asked my guardian ad litem not to come to my school because I already had so much going on. Like, caseworkers would come, my RCI workers would come, so I was constantly being pulled out of class. And I actually loved my classes my senior year because I barely had any. So for me, it was more like, okay, I get out of class early, I get out of school early. We can meet after classes because I'm already, most of my classes were electives and I loved my electives, or I was doing sports or something. So for me, it was like, okay, we can meet after all that stuff is done. But going out to lunch and stuff, she would do that with me after school because she knew how much I actually wanted to be in classes. So, yeah.
I think another thing to keep in mind is the age. Because when I was little, yeah, come see me, that's so exciting. Like, someone coming to visit you, like, when you're little is the best thing in the world. But then whenever I was a senior, I had all AP classes, I did my homework during lunch, like, I was so busy. So when she would be like, hey, do you want me to come? I'd be like, no, I don't have time for you right now. I need to be working on my English essay, I need to be doing this. Like, I have calculus, I don't know how to do calculus, don't come see me then. And then also, like you said, with other kids visits, like judging you, I was always afraid people would ask questions. And when I was in school, I was not prepared to answer those questions because somebody was like, so why is that older woman coming to see you if she doesn't look anything like you? I would just kind of be like, second cousin twice removed, I don't know. And just did not want to have to do that.
I guess I'm addressing this more to Gage than the ladies, but was there, you mentioned kind of an aha moment when you decided, you know, this rebelliousness is fun for a while, but in 10 years from now, who cares? Was there anything that really turned the light on in you that said, you know, I gotta start doing better in my life?
Well, I haven't had much support in my life, family-wise, friend-wise. The only support that I've actually had is from my either case manager or for myself. And I just realized I don't have contact, I don't keep contact with any of my family or anybody, so I thought about it for a while, and I just kept thinking about my future and the way I was acting, and I realized I don't want to go down the same path my parents went down, and if I didn't do something then, because nobody else was doing anything for me, they were just like saying things, but it was going through one ear and out the other. So I just realized I had to take a stand for myself because I didn't have anybody else to help me do it.
I think this question is probably more for Miracle and Marie. I was wondering, you both aged out, and I think you probably aged out before the aging out age was extended to 21. You didn't have an option, am I correct? In staying in the program or not?
Well, for me, I aged out right when it came into effect.
Okay.
So I had the option, but I was like, yeah, no.
No.
I was like, no, because I didn't want to have to keep dealing with the constant visits and stuff like that. And like I said, I was used to being independent, so I just wanted to get back to it. But then once I moved out on my own, I kind of changed my mind for like the first couple months because I was terrified to live by myself because I had gotten used to being in a home full of kids, and so to come home and it was like silence, I was like, ooh, it was scary. So I had the option, but I chose not to.
I am too old. I did not have the option. As soon as it was 18, goodbye, good luck.
My question actually was, I guess the second part of my question, do either of you still have contact with your guardian ad litem? Did you keep up a relationship with her?
Not fully, because she ended up moving, but Miss Kathleen sitting to your left, it was my CAM. And so as soon as I got back into the Guardian ad litem program, that was the first thing I brought up to her was I was like, I remember you. And so I guess becoming part of the Guardian ad litem program was my relationship with her because she got so sick. But there was a period of time after she stopped being my guardian that we did, but it was because of not only through church, but because right before I graduated, my best friend shot himself. And it was like 6 days before my senior prom, and he was my date, and I got a call the same day to pick up his tux, and it was all really overwhelming. And because we went to the same church and he went with me, she knew, and she just showed up, and she was like, no, you're not kicking me out, you're not going back to this. And so she sat there and she helped me through it, even though it wasn't her job.
For me, I don't have a relationship with my guardian ad litem right now. Like, when I first moved out, she came and she would check up on me, but I was like kind of overwhelmed with everything that I guess I kind of pushed her away. I kind of pushed everyone away at that point because I was trying to figure out, okay, I'm on my own now, I'm still in high school. It was very overwhelming, and at that point I do wish she kind of would have like stayed and been like, okay, I understand that she's going through something right now. She doesn't mean it. But I know it's harder to understand that when you're feeling like you're being pushed away. So for me, we don't have a relationship right now. I wish we would have, because now, well, when I first moved out, I wish we would have, because everything was so overwhelming. Just being on your own, still being in high school, and still trying to figure everything out as a high school student, and still trying to graduate and go to school and go to, like, it was a lot. So yeah, but I still have, like, when I aged out, she came and she brought me this big old picture, and it said love on it, and I still have it to this day, like, so.
You know, you said that you wish that you had, I bet she would love a phone call from you saying, you know, this is where I am, hi, how are you? Because I wonder about my children who have either been adopted or, you know, have moved on. And I do try and keep in touch with them. And some of them are very accepting, but some, and I understand this. You know, one little boy said to me, I was very, very close, and he said to me, you know, I just want to put this all behind me. And I realize I'm part of that stuff he wants to put all behind him. So I really, you know, I get that. But if you want to, I bet you would love a phone call from me.
I mean, I would, it was just like, it would feel weird because I know, like, there's certain rules and stuff. I don't know if that applies to guardian ad litem, like how you can't go back and call your caseworker, like, you know? Well, I don't know if that's the thing. I just always assumed that once you aged out, you just couldn't. Because there was so many other rules that are in place for after you age out. I just figured that was one of them, like, nope, don't go back there, like, leave it alone. So, because she was there for, like, the first couple weeks after I aged out, and then she kind of, like, yeah. But I would definitely call if that is an option. Because I believe she's my little sister's caseworker. I'm at guardian ad litem now, so, yeah.
I have a question.
Kathleen?
This is for any or all of you. Do you have an opinion about what worked best for you and why? Do you think that being in a traditional foster home worked for you pretty well? You know, with foster parents maybe that are a married couple with kids of their own, or do you like the group setting? You know, like Hibiscus, and what? Do you have an opinion about that? What works best?
As you know, Kathleen, I'm Hibiscus. Definitely a foster home, a family type of setting, no group home, because honestly, I'm still there now. I'm just dealing with it because right now I'm focusing on myself, and it doesn't bother me much after everything that I've been through. But before that, when I was rebellious, a foster home was really helpful to me, and it made me feel like I was still a person, not being controlled and in a facility type place where I'm being watched all the time.
I would definitely have to agree with him and say a family setting. Like I said, I was born into foster care, so for maybe from 1 to the age of 3 when my family came and got me, I was staying in Hibiscus and Gypsum. And for me, that was scary being so young and being around that. So when I came back into care, that was like automatic. I would not go to a group home. It just wasn't an option for me. I told him, I was like, I'll run away before I go to a group home, because as a kid, that was like traumatizing to me. And so I always stayed in a traditional foster home. It wasn't both parents. Most of them were single mothers. And that was okay with me because that's what I was used to. I was used to just having like that mother figure. So I would definitely say a foster home instead of a group home.
I agree with both of them. With being in a group home, it was kind of just like, you're just another kid, you're just another burden, go do this, go do that, here's your schedule, do what you have to do, get over it. Whereas when you're actually in like a family setting, it's, no, you're one of our children, you're gonna follow our rules, these are what they are, this is what we do, and you fall into a system versus having a system thrust upon you. And it's like it's a big difference. And then I think again, it also depends on the facility and the home itself, because then I had one home that got rid of me for what I told Miss Betty. But they had a young autistic son, and I was basically just became his caregiver. Like that was my job as their child. And then that was different versus another home that I had where I was one of 2 teens, and it was just kind of like, no, you're our kid. do what they do and just follow the rules. And I was like, well, that I can do. So,
Any other questions? Jen?
Were any of you ever placed at the ranch in Okeechobee?
I wasn't, but my little sister Heaven was.
Heaven's your sister?
Yeah, she's not in care anymore. She's with on my dad's side family, and they're taking care of her. I don't see her though. I haven't had much contact with any of my family.
I was just wondering because to me that's a different type of group home. It's, you know, a family setting group home, and I was just wondering if you had had any experience with it.
I went there and had visitations with her, and it was really nice. And they have animals, and she loves animals, so it was really nice. I was glad that she was put there instead of like a facility that I'm at with walls all the way around, and it just feels like you're in a rehab or something like that.
I would definitely say it is the setting because like working with Devereaux and the RTI, like we've had chances to go, and even with just being in Ushine, we had a chance to go to West Palm and see one of their group home settings. And it was beautiful. It was houses. It wasn't one big home. It was houses, and you had two parents in the home, and the kids seemed to really like it. Like they felt like they were at home. Like you could go outside and ride bikes with the neighborhood kids. It was an amazing setting. I wish if I ever did go to a group home in foster care, that was something that I would do because that was still like a family setting. So it definitely depends on the group home itself.
Yes.
How important is it for you to see your siblings when you've been placed and you're not in the same home?
To me, it's very important because I miss my little sister. I haven't heard much from her. I haven't heard much from my mom in the past almost 2 years. And I would like to know how they're doing. So, yeah, visitation is very important to me because when you need someone to go to, family is very important. And like, I wish I could be there more for her and be her rock because I don't know what's going on in her life. And like, I don't know, it's just very important to have visitation with family. If not mother and father, if brother and sister.
How old is your sister?
She's 12.
Can you not make that contact yourself?
I've tried, yes, and I'm working towards trying to get the phone number to them so I can make phone calls because I've tried getting visitations. And they keep making excuses saying they're really scheduled and all of that, and they just don't want to, like, have me see them.
Now, who is making these comments to you, Hibiscus or where your sister is?
Where my sister is.
I would definitely say it is important to have visitations and stuff, but for me it was a difficult situation because I didn't even know I had a little sister until my grandmother, who I didn't really know, she passed away, and then my sister ended up in care, and then she ended up in the home with me, and it was awkward because she was already like 12 or 13. I didn't even know what to say to her because I didn't know she existed all this time. So it was kind of like, it was a difficult situation because we still don't really have a very close relationship. Like her and my older brother are close because they knew each other growing up. And I was originally the only one who ended up in care. So I didn't really have a great relationship with either of them. But like when I went to my last foster home that I aged out of, she made sure that I had a relationship with my brother, which which he mentioned her to me, but I always just kind of brushed it off because I was like, they're always talking about her, but we've never seen her before. So she made sure my last foster mom made sure I had a relationship with my brother and my little sister. She actually took my little sister in and tried to, keep her in the home, even because my sister was autistic and she had other mental health issues. They placed her in more of a therapeutic setting for her. And I haven't really seen her since, but now she's starting to get visitations with us. My brother lives in Texas, so they fly her out to Texas, and My brother wants me to fly out to Texas, but I've never been on a plane, so I was like, I'll think about driving. So I would definitely say that's something that's important, is getting to know, because I wish I would have had a better relationship with my sister and still been able to keep contact after they moved her from the home. But it was kind of tricky because when they moved her, I was aging out, so it wasn't really a lot of resources to kind of keep us together.
I think it depends on the relationship that you already have with your siblings. I have 11 half siblings and 1 full sibling. So seeing all of my siblings would have been traumatizing. My 1 full sibling, he was adopted out at birth, so I mean, I know who he is. We have contact. I have Facebook. That's what my contact with my siblings has always been. When my half siblings come in to visit my biological father, they'll stop and they'll take me to a fair or something, and that's good enough for me. I never needed my guardian ad litem to make that because I was old enough to make the decision myself. Where if I would have been like, hey, I would like to do this, I'm sure she would have, but I think it depends on the child, because whereas I didn't want to, because seeing one sibling and not seeing another just seemed really unfair.
As much as I hate, excuse me, as much as I hate to end this segment, our time is up. I'm getting a signal from the back that it is time to end this session. You know, I've been in child welfare 40 plus years, and I'm still learning. And I learned a lot this morning from these fine young people. And I want to thank y'all for coming and sharing with us, for teaching us. You know, that's really important. You know, I told you that I spent some time with Gage recently, and a case that I have right now is ending next month. And Gage has graciously agreed for me to be a guardian assigned to him. I feel like, in spite of my years of experience, I still feel like I have a lot to learn. And you know, it's never too late for a mentor. And so I'm looking forward to spending time with Gage. Once again, thank you all very much. I have some gifts for you.